News, talk, music, get it all
24 hours
on West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM Dakar.
WADR, promoting dialogue.
It's 6 p.m. in Dakar, 7 p.m. in Lagos. Good evening and welcome to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world at wadr.org. Here are the top stories. Terrorist group attacks Benin armed forces near Burkina Faso, casualties yet unknown. Nigeria's National Assembly rejects calls for separate regulators of the fintech sector.
It will be responsible for developing performance standards, creating a level playing field, and fostering investments in the fintech sector.
ECOWAS conducts fact-finding mission in Cape Verde ahead of legislative and presidential elections. Senegal's health ministry roots out health threat from sanitary pads allegedly made with expired materials.
The raw materials used and their composition do not contain any substances harmful or dangerous to the health of users.
Please stay with us for details of these stories and more.
On the news, this is Augustine Bill Coley.
Many thanks for joining our broadcast. We begin in Benin, where a terrorist group attacked the Benin armed forces in the commune of Karimama, far north of the country. According to multiple media sources, the attack allegedly targeted the barracks of Benin soldiers deployed in the border area with Niger and Burkina Faso. While the number of casualties remain unknown, the Group for the Support of Islam and Muslim, JNIM, claimed responsibility for the attack. The jihadist group asserts that it has taken control of the military position, burned equipment, including the seizure belonging to Benin's armed forces. For now, no official confirmation has been given by the Beninese authorities either on the human toll or the exact circumstances of the attack. Still in Benin, but regarding politics, reactions continue to pour in following the resignation of former President Boni Yayi and his son Chabi Yayi from the main opposition party, the Democrats. Although no official statement has fully clarified the reasons behind their departure, political actors and analysts are weighing in on the potential implications. Christopher Aticho has the details in this report.
Within the leadership of the Democrat Party, caution appears to be the prevailing tone. Some party officials describe the move as a personal decision by Boni Yayi that deserves respect, while downplaying its possible impact on the party's cohesion and future prospects. Political analyst Lukman Tijani believes the resignation may signal a deliberate step to make way for a new generation of opposition leaders.
Je pense que le président Boni Yayi gagnerait à aller plus loin dans cette démarche.
I believe President Boni Yayi would benefit from going further in this current approach by embracing a role of elder wisdom, not only for his party, but for the Beninese people as a whole. We are currently at a turning point characterized by a generational transition. As new political actors are called upon to lead our country, they need a solid set of references and guides to turn to whenever challenges arise.
Beyond its symbolic weight, observers say the move marks the end of a significant chapter in Benin's political history. Boni Yayi, long regarded as the principal rival of President Patrice Talon, represented a distinct political current with a long electoral base. For Bertin Covey, a political actor aligned with the presidential majority, the departure of the Yayi family from the Democrats opens up several possible scenarios.
One does not practice politics in the shadow of their father. Chabi Yayi is mature enough to make his own decisions. President Boni Yayi represents the past, the setting sun, while Chabi Yayi is the future, the rising sun. This very departure qualifies him to carry the Yayi legacy forward. Former President Boni Yayi eventually understood that it is better to serve in the Council of Elders rather than remain in the political arena where younger generations might treat him with lack of respect.
Questions remain over the medium and long-term implications, whether this is a strategic withdrawal, a political rupture, or the beginning of a new political realignment.
A report from our Cotonou correspondent Aziz Adam Souley, voiced by Christopher Atichu. ECOWAS Pre-Electoral Facts Fund mission has begun high-level consultations with authorities and political stakeholders in Cape Verde ahead of the country's forthcoming legislative and presidential elections. ECOWAS Commissioner for Political Affairs, Peace and Security, Ambassador Abdel Fattah Musa, is leading the delegation to the West African state. It is mandated to assess the pre-electoral environment and to support efforts towards peaceful, transparent and credible electoral polls. Away from electoral matters, the Gambia's President Adama Barrow has expressed concern over rising tensions in the Middle East regarding military actions involving the United States and Israel against Iran. President Barrow, who is also the chairman of the 15th Islamic Summit of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, called on all sides in the conflict to exercise restraint and avoid further escalation. He made the call in a statement issued at the State House this Thursday. WADR's Banjul correspondent Sandona Mendy reports.
President Adama Barrow says the unfolding situation in the Middle East could worsen instability in a region already facing serious security challenges. The Gambia leader warns that continued confrontation could have severe consequences for civilians, key infrastructure, and wider regional and global security. In his capacity as chair of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation's Islamic Summit, the president urges all parties involved to exercise maximum restraint and respect international law. He also reminded countries of their obligations under the United Nations Charter, including respect for state sovereignty and the protection of civilians during conflicts. President Barrow stressed that dialogue and diplomacy remain the most effective ways to resolve disputes and reduce tensions. He therefore encouraged the parties concerned to pursue peaceful solutions through the United Nations and other international and regional mechanisms. The Gambia leader added that the Organization of Islamic Cooperation stands ready to support efforts aimed at de-escalation, mediation, and the peaceful settlement of disputes. President Barrow also reaffirmed the Gambia's commitment to peace, justice, and the rule of international law, while calling on the international communities to strengthen diplomatic efforts to preserve stability and promote global peace. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, I am Sangdana Mendy, reporting from Banjul.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Elsewhere in Nigeria, the National Assembly has decided against establishing a separate regulator for the fintech sector. Instead, lawmakers have opted to enhance the supervisory role of the central bank of the country. This move aims to strengthen oversight to protect consumers and maintain the integrity of the financial system. This decision comes as financial technology continues to revolutionize the ways in which Nigerians send, receive, and invest money. Our Abuja correspondent Yeche Nusasetu reports.
The decision followed a one-day public hearing at the National Assembly, organized jointly by Senate committees overseeing banking, cybersecurity, capital markets, and financial crimes. The hearing also reviewed concerns over the rise of fraudulent investment platforms. Sponsor of the bill, Faoud Kayode Laguda, explained that the amendment seeks to strengthen regulatory clarity.
The Fintech Regulatory Commission, if established, will enforce standard rules, codes of practices for operators and investors. For the customers, the Commission will adequately protect them from digital frauds and build their trust in digital platforms.
Adebayo Adepoju, also a member of the House of Representatives, says the bill aims to establish uniform regulatory standards.
Part of this mandate, it will be responsible for developing performance standards, creating a level playing field, and fostering investments in the fintech sector.
The amendment would empower the Central Bank of Nigeria to classify certain fintech companies and digital financial institutions as systematically important institutions, bringing them under closer monitoring where their operations could affect financial stability. It also proposes the creation of a national registry to enhance transparency by disclosing beneficial ownership of digital financial entities and strengthening risk-based supervision suited to technology-driven financial services. Chairman of the House Committee on Digital and Electronic Banking, Emmanuel Ukbong Udo, says the goal is to ensure innovation does not outpace regulation and expose Nigerians to financial risks.
Our objective is to craft a law that promotes innovation while safeguarding systematic stability.
The position of the lawmakers reinforces the central bank's role as the lead regulator for the fintech ecosystem, working alongside other agencies to coordinate oversight in a rapidly evolving digital finance environment. For WADR, Hichenusa Setu in Abuja.
In Senegal, the Council of Ministers has approved a sweeping communication reform to rationalize the parapublic sector. The adoption took place during the council meeting on Wednesday. This ambitious transformation, presented by Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko, aims to modernize national administration, significantly reduce state spending, and strengthen overall governance. Ousmane Ouma tells us more.
The plan follows a comprehensive analysis by a dedicated working group tasked with identifying inefficiencies across state-owned structures. The team has proposed the immediate abolition of 19 public entities. These specific bodies accounted for over 28 billion CFA francs in budget allocations in 2025, with an annual payroll exceeding 9 billion CFA francs for only 1,000 officers. Furthermore, the dissolution will address a combined debt of 2.6 billion CFA francs recorded as of late 2024. Beyond these closures, the Prime Minister's roadmap includes the repositioning of 10 additional entities. The process will involve redefining their core missions, updating legal frameworks, and improving intervention models to eliminate overlapping skills. According to Prime Minister Sonko, the ultimate goal is to foster greater synergy and coherence in public action while optimizing public finances. The financial impact of these measures is expected to be substantial, with the government projecting cumulative net budgetary savings of at least 55 billion CFA francs over the next 3 years. However, Sonko emphasized that these cuts must be matched by rigorous improvements in governance, specifically targeting the control of staff numbers, the management of the wage bill, and the harmonization of pay scales across the sectors. To ensure the successful rollout of these changes, an interministerial committee will soon be established to pilot the implementation of the reform.
That's Ousmane Ouma reporting. Still in Senegal, the Ministry of Health has released the results of an investigation into the sale of sanitary pads allegedly made from expired materials. In early December 2025, the Senegalese Pharmaceutical Regulatory Agency reported the presence of expired raw materials in the manufacturing process of certain products, including diapers and sanitary pads. The matter sparked controversy across the country. However, following an investigation, the Minister of Health indicated on Thursday that there is no health risk attached to the sale of the pads. Here is an excerpt from the statement by Ibrahima Sy, the Senegalese Minister of Health.
Overall, the raw materials used and their composition do not contain any substances harmful or dangerous to the health of users. Now, let's turn to the expired raw material. The presence of expired materials in the factory's production area constitutes a deficiency in the quality management system, particularly the company's good storage practices. However, a thorough analysis demonstrates that their actual use and production has not been proven. The stock slip included in the inspection report as proof of the use of expired raw materials contradicts the conclusions of the said report. The latter mentions the use of the material in question until September 2025, whereas the last material withdrawal indicated on the stock slip clearly states September 2024. The finished products made from the implicated raw materials are absent from the factory's sales database for 2025. This confirms that the products in question have not been marketed at least since December 31, 2024.
Ibrahima C. is the Senegalese Minister of Health. You are listening to Newslink live on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM Dakar, Senegal, and online at wadr.org. Here is a reminder of our top stories. Terrorist group attacks Benin's armed forces near Burkina Faso. Casualties yet unknown. Nigeria's National Assembly rejects calls for separate regulators of the fintech sector. ECOWAS conducts fact-finding mission in Cape Verde ahead of legislative and presidential elections. Senegal's health ministry rules out health threat from sanitary pads allegedly made with expired materials. Still ahead in the news, we have guest interview and sports. Please stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Many thanks for being with us. We are streaming live on YouTube at WADR and on Facebook, WADR English Service. A new report reveals that the proliferation of opioids and other synthetic substances is jeopardizing public health in West Africa. Published in March 2026 by the Global Initiative Against Transnational Organized Crime, this study found that the influx of illegal drugs is drawing new criminal actors into the sub-region, surpassing the ability of states to respond effectively. The report is titled Synthesis Mapping Synthetic Drug Markets in West Africa. Sankula Janko has the details.
Among the key findings, the GITOC notes that synthetic drug markets are expanding and diversifying rapidly, with serious consequences for public health. Young people are the primary victims, while in some particularly affected countries, the situation is considered serious enough to jeopardize long-term stability and economic development. Since 2024, 2 West African states have declared a state of emergency in response to the synthetic drug crisis, a measure previously reserved for major epidemics and pandemics. Among the substances in circulation are synthetic cannabinoids, nitazines, and other novel compounds, often of unknown composition. The study highlights the factors that favor the rapid expansion of this market, mainly low barriers to entry, limited startup capital, anonymity offered by digital platforms, and easy access to chemical precursors via globalized supply chains. According to the authors, the synthetic drug trade functions as a gateway market, allowing new criminal actors to rapidly accumulate capital. The report further recommends consolidated regional leadership and coordinated action based on multi-stakeholder coalitions to contain a threat that could have lasting consequences for the security, stability, and well-being of populations in West Africa.
Sankula Janko fight that report. We turn to Guinea, where the mother and elder sister of a former minister and personal advisor to ex-President Alpha Condé, Tibou Camara, were adopted by armed men on Tuesday night. The incident comes amid a rising number of disappearances across the country. This situation is drawing condemnation from human rights organizations in the country. Abdullahi Hassan tells us more.
According to witnesses, the attackers broke into the family home of Tibou Camara around 9 p.m., seizing his elderly mother, Haja Asmao Jallo, and his older sister, Haja Binta Camara, before taking them to an unknown location. No official information has been provided about their whereabouts. In recent months, several high-profile disappearances have been reported in Guinea, including activists of the National Front for the Defense of the Constitution, Foninke Mengi and Biloba, and journalist Habib Morane Camara, whose families are still without news. Other notable cases include the abduction of El Haj Adama Keita, father of journalist Babila Keita, in September 2025, children of artist Eli Kamano in November 2025, and opposition figure Nene Osu Jallo in January 2026. Opposition leader Selu Dalen Jallo condemned the abduction of Tibu Kamara's family on his Facebook page, while the former aide, now in exile, vowed not to remain silent. National and international human rights organizations have called on the authorities to carry out independent and transparent investigations to locate the missing and hold the perpetrators accountable. The Guinean government, however, maintains it is not involved in the kidnappings, stating that investigations are opened in response to each disappearance.
That's a report from our Conakry correspondent, Chanu Alpha Ibrahim Balde, voiced by Abdullahi Hassan.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
The guest interview focuses on Benin, where reactions are pouring across the political landscape following the resignation of former President Boni Yayi and his son Chabi Yayi from the main opposition party, the Democrats. Although no official statement has fully clarified the reasons behind their departure, political actors and analysts are weighing in on the potential implications. Our guest is Morgan Asogba, a geopolitical consultant who weighs in on the matter.
This is a news that has probably surprised few of the Beninese citizens and not surprised at all most of them. It is important to clarify that President Boni Yayi joined the political party, the Democrats, far later than the existence or the creation of the political party. So he is not definitely a major founder of the party, but he became the president of the political party far later on when the leaders have agreed upon the fact that he might be the most suitable person to stand as the leader of the party.
Does the resignation of Boni Yayi pose any major effect or negative impact on the party's image or in terms of its influence in Benin's politics?
It is clear that being a political party that might be struggling with finances in the upcoming months, probably years, it's a very negative consequence when it comes to the management and especially the way political parties function currently within the country and has been functioning so far. It's something that has always involved a lot of finances, especially to motivate the members to stand. So this is the major consequence. But when you take aside this consequence, there have been quite a lot of criticism about the way the political party has been led. So if the leader is resigning, definitely it is not that much of a problem if we have to agree upon the relevance and the quality of the leadership and based on the result we have on the ground. For a leader to have been leading a political party that has been facing severe situation that did not allow the political party to run for any of the elections.
The resignation of Boni Yayi comes after the party's failure to meet the requirements in registering its presidential candidate. As a result, the party will not take part in the upcoming presidential election. Could this be a factor that resulted into the party's internal wrangling, leading Boni Yayi to resign?
You know, what we have witnessed within the country as far as this political party is concerned is quite, troubling and appealing in the sense that we've had political parties members resign from this very political party and who are currently elected to the National Assembly, but not bearing this very political party name. They've moved to a different political party of the leading parties. And this is very much questionable because if the members, let's say the key members of this political party have been able to stand tall during the challenges that they face, we would have not be witnessing an absence of this political party when it comes to the election. So we had some issue. It wasn't just a matter of documentation when it comes to the rejection, if we can call it that way, but I believe it is not a rejection, but rather a failure of being able to participate. It has to do with the staff itself and the management. And this is why the former president Boni Yayi to resign.
Morgan Asogba is a geopolitical consultant. Well, in sports, the World Football Governing Body FIFA has confirmed the 6 nations that will compete in the FIFA Inter-Confederation Playoff Tournament for the final places at the 2026 World Cup. Among them is DR Congo national football team, which will represent Africa in the competition. The confirmation effectively ends hopes for the Nigeria national football team of gaining a late route to the tournament after their appeal over a previous playoff match against DR Congo failed to change the outcome. FIFA says the playoff event will feature 6 teams: Bolivia, DR Congo, Iraq, Jamaica, New Caledonia and Suriname, all battling for the final 2 places at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. The tournament is set to begin on March 26, with the winners securing the last tickets of the global competition, which will be hosted in Canada, Mexico and the United States. And finally, latest news coming in says on October 2024, the Confederation of African Football granted the hosting rights for the Total Energies Women Cup of Nations to be hosted by Morocco, and this tournament was scheduled for March 17 to April 3, 2026. But after discussions between CAF and its partners, FIFA and other stakeholders, CAF has decided to reschedule the dates of the Total Energies CAF WAFCON 2026 to between July 25 and August 16, 2026 to ensure the success of this important women's competition in the light of certain unforeseen circumstances. And that's the latest in the world of sports. With that, we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM Dakar and online at wadr.org. Thank you for listening. And many thanks to Mustafa Sek and Sheikh Njai for the technical support. Do interact with us via our social media platforms, including X, Instagram, and Facebook at WADR English Service. I am Augustine Colley. Good evening.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM,
Hilltop Radio 104.7 FM,
and Veritas Radio 102.9 in Banjul, the Gambia. We also appreciate our listeners in Liberia via Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Lofa County,
Radio Kagama 94.5 FM, Nibe County, DCN Radio 91.3 FM, Riverside County, Wakat FM Radio, Banga, Liberia, Radio Baf FM 91.3 Sierra Leone in Nigeria, and Love 104.5 FM Abuja.
For you listening via Radio Pad 95.1 Damango, Savannah region, and on Royals FM